So thank you all for joining us and for spending your evening with us. We did a random pick earlier today, and our first candidate that we'll be sharing is Mike Lane.
Good evening. Sarah and I were just sitting here chit-chatting for a second. We're going like, can you get this down to 10 minutes? And we're both going, I just don't know. So we're both saying, hey, we'll do our best to keep it there and see how that goes. I do want to thank everyone for coming here this evening and taking time out of your busy schedules and coming to listen to what Sarah and I have to say, and perhaps have the opportunity to talk with us individually afterwards. I would really appreciate that. Given this 10-minute time frame, I can't even begin to touch the amount of subjects that I've got on my plate that I want to deal with. So I'd like to talk to you about that personally. One thing I want to share right out of the chute is this, for me, this campaign has been what I will classify as a blessing in the fact that it has either I have learned or learned of many, many things that I believe I would not have otherwise had an opportunity to come in contact with. I've met so many people, so many organizations that have a passion for things, the things they want to do. I'm just afraid I would not have had the opportunity to meet with them. So I'm looking at this campaign as a blessing. There's no question in my mind. It's good for Auburn. It's good for the mayor's office to have this campaign. I do want to tell you right out of the chute, and any of you that know me, and I know I see a lot of faces, that I am not a politician. Absolutely not. Nor am I a self-promoter. So it is a little difficult for me to stand up and toot my horn, but it's not difficult for me to stand here and toot the horn about the city of Auburn. I love this community. I have a passion for it. I've worked in this community. I've been on numerous organizations, and I absolutely have an allegiance to this town equal to none. I believe that opinions are what makes things. I've ran a company. The way we do business with our customers is every single opinion is valuable. Put it on the table, you discuss it, you digest it, you mold it, you shape it, you come out with the best result you can. That is exactly the way I'd run the city, is that every opinion matters. And we will seek opinions, we'll ask people to come to us with opinions, and we'll take those opinions and use them. This really goes along with a favorite saying of my favorite president, Ronald Reagan, when he said that there's no limit to the amount of good that can be done when no one has to take the credit. And that's absolutely true. I don't care who gets the credit for it. I don't care. It's a matter of what's the best thing that we can come up with and what's our best plan of action. I do, and in doing that though, and in a way to collect those opinions and information, the very first thing I'll do, day one, is put together a couple programs. Number one is the Citizens Academy, along with a Youth Advisory Council. Both of these programs are designed and intended to be a stepping stone to bring our youth into adulthood, our adults into our community, adults into our government, so that we may have a diverse group of people in the decision-making process in Auburn. I will tell you, in the focus groups we held, one of the questions was, when we met with our youth, well over 60 kids, would any of you be interested in a youth advisory council? Almost every hand in the room went up. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, we can't have a 60-person committee, that's not gonna work. You all are gonna have to figure out which one of you wanna represent the youth in this advisory council. So there's no question in my mind, the youth are on board. They're ready to get in and help. One of the questions that was posed here was what we would do if we had $1 million with no strings attached. I'm not sure how they come up with that question, but I'll tell you this, that was the exact question we held in our focus groups, was to our groups, what would you want us to do if we had $1 million unrestricted? So I've heard all the answers, and there's several, but I'll tell you resoundingly, answer number one, Above all, fix our sidewalks. Every single group says, let's fix those sidewalks. And to me, that's great. We got $1 million unrestricted. It's not tax money or anything else. It's not earmarked. Somebody lands us $1 million, what are we gonna do with it? So that's exactly what I would do with it. I'd take that $1 million and I would start with improving our sidewalks and tie that into our trail systems, create a complete grid, north, south, east, west with trails, then have collector sidewalks, then have neighborhood sidewalks. I'd take the $1 million and put it into the neighborhood sidewalks where it's in that yard, in that person's drive across the front of their property, and see what we can do. I would leverage those dollars utilizing local contractors and suppliers and form some real collaboration and partnerships. I can tell you that in the last several weeks, walking the city of Auburn, and I've walked just about most of it, well over 4,000, 4,500 homes that I went to personally, that $1 million is very much needed. Our sidewalks are in terrible condition. But I can tell you though, that $1 million is only gonna do about 5 miles of sidewalk. That's with some collaboration and some partnerships. We've got 70 miles of streets. They all don't need sidewalks, but many of them do. I can tell you that they're in bad condition. I'd also like to share with you that my Sarah, no H, and I have a son-in-law who's a paraplegic in a wheelchair. So we understand the impact that public access and movement through a city, through a building, means to our family. So we understand the importance of that, and so does our son-in-law as well. We have, although Auburn's a great place to live and work, we do have some things that we really need to take care of. And again, I've mentioned to you, I've got a long laundry list, and I'm not gonna be able to touch on nearly 10% of those, but I'll tell you a few things. First on my mind is downtown. How many of you are aware that in our downtown and the surrounding area downtown, our water mains are over 100 years old? So I'm thinking 100-year-old water main, I'm not sure how much longer we can roll the dice on how long those things are gonna be good for. And here we are, we're doing all this downtown redevelopment, streetscapes, sidewalks, streets, curbs, patios. I hope and pray that we would never be making all those improvements over the top of 100-year-old utilities. I don't believe we have yet, to my knowledge, but I wanna guarantee it doesn't happen. And I think first thing we would do is sit down and create a plan, how we're gonna replace those water mains, when and how how we're gonna pay for them. Not an easy plan to do, but I feel at the pace we're going with the redeveloping our downtown, that's the number one thing we ought to be tuned in on. The other thing's our master plan. You probably read a little bit about it in the paper. It was drafted in 1987, adopted in 1989. It's 30 years old. It's time to redo it. The city is just starting to enact movement on getting that replaced. I too would promote that wholeheartedly. Even so, it's an 18-month process, so right now we're talking 2021 before that can become effective. But to go right with that, I would tie right into our Citizens Academy and our Youth Advisory Group, and citizens through forums and other mechanisms, avenues would be a part, has to be a part of developing that master plan. So by year's end, hopefully that's at least the ball's rolling a little bit, but we'll pick it up and we'll run with it hard, but even running hard is gonna take us a period of time. Many of you know that we have 248 acres of parks in town, but with the development of Reiki Park several years ago, most of our neighborhood parks have somewhat been neglected and the resources going elsewhere, just enough money to maintain them. I would propose that we make a special park, develop each park with a special feature, unique feature in it. So tonight you go to this park and do this, and tomorrow night or next weekend you go to this park and you do this activity, and so on, so that we have these whole spread out series of parks with special things. When they develop Thomas Park into a dog park a few years ago. I think that was an awesome thing. I can tell you also, from walking this town, that 75 to 80% of the houses in this town all have fur babies, and they work much better than a doorbell. So I'm not sure we got enough dog parks, so maybe we need more. A couple other things though too, this is on my mind, is I think we've got the issue with the median household income in DeKalb County. You know, we're ranked 8th out of 11 counties in Northeast Indiana, median household income, $56,430. We need to do something about that and raise that up. And I got a plan to help work on that called the City Movement. I can talk to you about that up here later. It's a collaboration of our churches and our nonprofits and our government and our business and our education all coming together to work on 2 or 3 systemic issues in this community that can build our citizens up. I'm not talking about bricks and mortar, I'm talking about lives and families. And also to go along with that is I would talk about an internship program where we want to promote and start a citywide internship program that will get every business in Auburn a part of that program. Just real quick, 1 minute, is you may or may not know that if a student does an internship one time, a 58% chance he's going to come back to that community. If they do 4 internships, it's a 75% chance they'll come back to that community to work and live. We need an internship program. So in closing, I'd just like to tell you that I have the experience. I have 20 years of government. I have 15 years up in City Hall, 8 years with Mayor Rum. I've sat in Mayor Rum's seat when he was gone. I've sat in next to him day in and day out. I know the job. I know what it takes to run the city. I know how to manage big budgets. And I would really appreciate consideration of your vote. I want to thank Sarah for participating in this. I want to thank our supporters. I want to thank God for placing me in this path. And again, I hope that you'll come up and talk to me at the end of this.
Thank you. All right, so great words from Mike Lay, and now we're ready to hear from our second candidate, Sarah Payne.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. So let me start by thanking the Chamber Partnership and their Young Professionals Group, their Board of Directors and their Executive Director for hosting us here tonight. And thank you, all of you, for coming out tonight. I know there were a couple bumps in the road along the way, but I appreciate your persistence in making this event happen. I also want to thank McKinney Harrison for hosting us. I have a 5th grader here, and I spend a lot of time here as a volunteer, so this school is really special to our family. I also want to thank Mike for agreeing to attend tonight. I do hope that we have time to meet again. I'd love us to do a town hall style debate that we can ask questions and answer issues that are important to voters. I also think that in the spirit of the original intent of this event, I do plan to answer a couple of the questions, and I do know that those remarks were sent in to the chamber by the community, so I'm excited to answer some of those questions. Of course, at the end of tonight's conversation, I welcome you to ask me any question that you have, and you can do that anytime. As I'm out in the community, I welcome you to come up and just interact with me in any way possible. That's what this campaign is all about. The openness, authenticity, and transparency is central to what makes our campaign unique, and my love of community is what has inspired us. I believe that love of community came from my grandma, Pat. She was the postmaster in the small town of Ashley for many, many years, and she interacted with her neighbors in a way that was very, very personal. She listened to issues, and she also looked for creative ways to solve problems. As a mom of 6 kids, and my grandfather traveled a lot because he was a truck driver, she really learned this skill very naturally. The most amazing thing about her was her ability to always welcome people at the table. It didn't matter if she was planning a dinner for 5 people and 15 came, there was always enough room for everyone at the table. The way I see it, our community could learn from that experience. It's time for more creative problem solving, and it's time to welcome all voices at the table. Our campaign has focused on a platform of people, places, and progress. As we're sharing these ideas, they're resonating with voters who value Auburn's rich history, but also support a strong vision for the future. We simply can't take the old-fashioned approach of reacting to problems as they arise, but we need to take a new approach. It's a new day in Auburn, and it's time that we're more proactive. Now let's dig into some of the specifics of our platform. The most important aspect to any community is its people. That's why the very first thing we will do is include more voices. New ideas come from new perspectives, and new perspectives come from new people, and including those people with their ideas at the table. From Cheyenne, who's a stay-at-home mom and homeowners association president in her neighborhood, to Mrs. Zonker, who's a retired teacher who cares about lifelong learning. Whether we're talking to the recent college graduate or the new retiree, they all want to be more involved in their community. Or take the local business owner I spoke with recently with nearly 300 employees who's worried about recruiting top talent, or the entrepreneur in our downtown who is looking to grow their business. Those perspectives all matter, and it's time that they all have a voice at the table. Take my friend Amy, who's here with us tonight. She's an adult with a developmental disability and has struggled for ways to find connection in this community. Amy's willingness to share her ideas has already helped us to make connections with the local parks department to improve some of our programming. We've got over 60 people volunteering for our campaign with their time and their talent, and we're not just using this resource to help us share our message, we're using it to form our message. This campaign is about the future of our city, and we need it to be one that works for everyone. Keep in mind, the mayor appoints nearly 40 different people to various boards and commissions. These appointees are impacting our daily lives. Don't we want them to represent our community more comprehensively? I believe we do, and I believe you're seeing this with our campaign, and will continue to see it in my leadership of Auburn. Next, let's explore the importance of our places. Placemaking really is the future of economic development. The number one challenge facing employers today is finding, hiring, and retaining a talented workforce. They often can live anywhere they want and are increasingly choosing places to live based on available amenities. Data shows that huge demographic shifts are actually driving these trends. Millennials are the largest demographic group now, and they're choosing more urban settings that are more bike and pedestrian friendly and socially connected. When you couple that with the fact that the baby boomer generation is interested in easy access to amenities and the desire to age in place, we know that Auburn is uniquely positioned to take advantage of this opportunity. Quality of place is economic development. Here are a few specific strategies to support this type of initiative. First, the key to neighborhood revitalization is encouraging home ownership by offering incentives for first-time home buyers and home owner-occupied revitalization projects. By partnering with organizations like the USDA, Brightpoint, and others, we can connect homeowners to the resources that they need to help them make important home improvements like new windows, roofs, and heating and air conditioning upgrades. These programs will set Auburn apart for first-time homeowners. Secondly, we need to address our city's walkability. There's currently a program in place with the city to cover about half the cost of replacing our aging sidewalks, but it's not being utilized because so many homeowners simply don't know that it exists. I will make sure that we better inform citizens of programs like these, but that's not enough. We know that we have neighboring cities right now that have programs to help homeowners finance their portion of these improvements, making them more attainable to all. By utilizing our existing sidewalk condition surveys and our existing trails plans that already include regional connectivity through Auburn, we can effectively address this issue. We simply need to create strategies that implement the plans already in place. Our street department has the experience in these types of projects to ensure that they're done correctly. What we need is the leadership to look for funding solutions and ways to connect with residents. Additionally, I will create a historic preservation commission that will connect property owners with the resources available to them. This would include not just connections to financial resources like the state and federal tax incentives that are available, but also technical and design support with professionals with expertise in preservation. This supports Auburn's dedication to our past, but also increases property values for us all. According to a recent article in Forbes magazine, historic districts actually improve property values. This will have to be a crucial piece for the comprehensive master plan that the city is already slated to begin this January. As you can see, improving the places around us is about leaning into the expertise of the people already in our community and working for our city, but doing it in a way that's innovative and solutions-oriented. We can't continue to react as problems arise. There are millions of dollars in grants out there just waiting for communities like Auburn that someone with my grant writing and fundraising experience can use to make projects like these a reality by maximizing our investments. This brings me to my final point, which is our platform, which is progress. Just like you've seen our campaign be innovative and forward-thinking, you'll see that from my leadership. My experience in the nonprofit world has given me expertise in innovative funding options, including grants, tax credits, and TIF districts. My experience developing relationships with experts in state agencies like the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, Department of Health, and Indiana Landmarks not only helps our community build capacity, but it also helps us create regional strategies that support infrastructure and community development. Just take our community's experience with the Hometown Collaboration Initiative and the resulting Cedar Creek Landing Project. This was the direct result of listening to the community, working closely with Mayor Yoder to connect to opportunities and developing solutions that work for everyone. It's a project I've been working on with others since 2015. My experience in the property management industry and leasing demonstrates my ability to negotiate high-value contracts, create and manage budgets, oversee construction projects on time and under budget, and work with entrepreneurs to connect them with resources. As a taxpayer, I want my leaders to be good stewards of our collective funds and use them to make the biggest impact possible. Just as you've seen our campaign use grassroots fundraising, including support from over 100 unique donors with an average gift of just over $100, I will look for creative solutions to overcoming obstacles. And I will listen to the voices of many, not just a few. Just as you've seen our campaign run a lean operation with just volunteers and no paid staff, I will also be a good steward of the city's funds. Our campaign has had to work harder, be more innovative and more strategic, and rely solely on volunteers. I wouldn't have it any other way. Since graduating from Purdue, I've never had to apply for a job, but today I'm applying to be your next mayor. Through a combination of experience and fresh perspective, we share a very bold vision for Auburn. By focusing on people, places, and progress, we can be forward-thinking and not fall victim to the reactive approaches of the past. I will take the incredible foundation laid by Mayor Yoder to propel us into the future. I will take our amazing community and make it even better. The way I see it, the mayor should act as a conductor to empower, coordinate, and connect leaders in this community. If this is a vision you share, then I humbly ask for your support and your vote come Election Day.